Okay, so still working on the shelves. We are going to do the Protectors of Good, whatever you want to call them, Masters of the Universe, Masterverse. Now, we already set up the other shelf, so all I got to do now is figure out how many champions I have, and will they fit on a single shelf right now. And I'm very blatantly aware that we barely made the evildoers work. Yeah. That's today. So my primary concern with this is how much do I actually have, because I don't know, how much will actually fit, because I don't know, and what's already down there on that shelf to begin with, because I don't 100% fully know. And I know some things are just barbarian figures, which they're going to be separated into their own thing. But I also know this. I also know that with the bad guys, I've already unboxed new Masterverse that will not fit on that shelf, because that shelf is done. So that brings a question. Do I make just a Masterverse shelf all across the bottom and not worry about good guys and or bad guys? Just a Masterverse shelf and then figure out where we go from there? Well, hopefully this part will give me that answer. Because once I have all the good guys down there, if the good guys take up just egregiously too much space, then we're going to have to start making decisions, which will probably go onto the shelves over there, which would be fine. There's space over there. But I just need to know where I sit. And so what stays and what goes? Let's get all these good guys on a shelf. So this is the shelf. This is what we're starting with. And for what it's worth, there are multiple items already that are coming off this shelf. Not necessarily that they're leaving the collection, but definitely that they're coming off this shelf. So this is my little, I just like to keep this because I like to put it up there and have it be the Masterverse locator. So we know that that shelf is packed. And we know that we want to get risers and everything so that everybody can be viewable over there. That we know for sure. The next thing we got to figure out is this shelf. How dirty is this shelf? It has been an entire year of no cleaning. That could be way worse. Yes, it absolutely needs dusted. It absolutely needs cleaned. But it could be way worse. And I'm already seeing this could be good. First off, that thing's got to go. And I don't mean this got to leave the collection, but it's got to come off of this shelf. It's going to go to the top shelf because I've been thinking about that. So let's whoosh up here to the top shelf. This area up here has been a bit confusing for me for a long time. It's so up at the top that it's really hard to determine what should go up here. And I've been thinking about it. I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense. I think he makes some kind of sense. I think that makes sense. I even think that the top shelf here, this kind of stuff makes sense. My idea, and I'm going to change that, by the way. But look, here's my thought process right now. I think that vehicles and whatnot should go top shelf. I think that that makes the most sense. They are big, they are fancy kinds of things. They will stick out, they will be viewable from a lower trajectory. I think that makes the most sense. So that down here is going up there if it fits. And if it doesn't fit, then it's going to go up there. But either way, that's what it's doing. That's going to top shelf. Let me clear this off. Okay, it's clean. So I decided it makes the most sense to put the sorceress over there because she's just really big and she's an absolute standout piece. But she's going to go over there and we have all this shelf to work with. These three are coming off the shelf. They are the Batman Frozen, whoa, I don't remember. I bought them specifically because they're Batman Barbarian figures, and he was basically Dark Wolf, which I thought was cool. That's a real cool, like, Shaman Robin, and that's a really cool, like, Barbarian Batgirl. I just thought these figures were fantastic. They will go on my alternate Barbarian shelf that we'll be setting up with all the alternate Barbarian stuff. So we're going to take them off, and we're going to start loading this up with the good guys. So here's the start. These are the figures that were displaced from the last arrangement. These guys were on the shelf like over there, and then they were taken off the shelf and moved over to basically over here as a spot holder. Now, these are set up, and I'm probably going to make a whole little corner of sorceress-esque characters, magic people, maybe over on the side here, and then go from there. But that's the start. We've got a whole shelf to work with, so let's start packing it up. Okay, this is where we are so far, and I think this is going to be a good thing. Like, we got the sorceress corner back there. We got Orko the White, which is one of the coolest things ever. I've got the two best right there. I would argue that I like one He-Man more than I like him, but he's so good. And then, as you can see, we've got a lot of space. This is going to be a lot to work with. That's a good He-Man, by the way. The more time I spend with this He-Man, the more that I like him. That's a true thing. But this is the shelf with the rest of the Masterverse. And it's not a lot. If I'm being perfectly honest, I think this is good. I think that we're going to do just fine. Let me move the rest of it and see just how crowded it gets. And this is it so far. It's pretty packed for what it's worth. It does have actually a lot of free space. I left a lot of space in between certain figures and whatnot where they're not like completely ridiculously packed in there, but they are. And up here, we have the other shelf where a lot of them used to be. And the only gray area person, I don't love this He-Man. I don't love that Skeletor. They might be the first Masterverse to ever go, but for right now, they're there. All the other stuff here is other kinds of barbarians. And I think, now that I've had a chance to kind of think about it for a bit, this shelf that we opened up might be for those barbarians, the offshoot barbarians, the special barbarians, the different barbarians. It could also become that those barbarians end up here, and that these double wide shelves play home to the special barbarians, the offshoot barbarians, these guys, and that all of these might actually go over to that shelf and have an Origins shelf, and that's very possible as well. But for right now, we've got this part done, and enough of this part that I can actually clean the shelf and get an idea. And if this shelf is clean, then I have one more Masterverse to just start putting a mix of all different things that we covered throughout the year and whatnot on that shelf. And we do have a lot of Masterverse left. And this project is getting pretty close to its completion, actually. But we'll see how that goes as we go. For right now, this is what I've added. We now have an idea of what stays and what goes. Masterverse is the most complicated part of the collection because almost nothing leaves the Masterverse collection. It just keeps getting bigger, which is great and bad, because I also like a lot of other things, like, of course, the DC and whatnot. And you can only collect for so long before you run into a problem. Now, I am talking about setting up the toy garage next year, so this may be a problem of the past as easy as early next year. But we'll see how things go. I'm curious what shelf I'm going to go on to next. I've got to look over the collection and make a decision, but I will, of course, make that decision, and then I'll, of course, do the video.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.